Well, guys, I am back. Yep, it's been some time. I'm still alive. I'm still making videos. Now, I've got a question. Have you ever made a mistake that has been that devastating to you that it makes you want to take a long walk off a short pier? Well, I did just that. And this is the mistake. I was stripping a Forge World model of the war boss on Warbike, and I left it in isopropyl alcohol for too long. So the thing has disintegrated, it's crumbled, I've snapped it, etc., etc. Made a royal mess of it. So I wasn't very happy, and honestly, it's the first time since getting back into the hobby that I've actually felt down and depressed and yeah, all that sort of stuff, which wasn't nice because I think this is going to be one of those memories that's going to stick with me for the rest of my life and I'm going to regret it forever and ever and ever. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, thankfully, now. So I went into my local games workshop and I inquired about it and I asked what I could do, what would be the best way of cleaning it, etc., etc. And I did some experiments as well, so I may make a short on that, explaining what I actually did. But I did a load of experiments, and it turns out for us English folk, it's Dettol. Yeah, just Dettol. You can use it neat, straight out of the bottle. The original stuff, no fancy extra chemicals or anything in it, just straight up Dettol. Use it neat, use a toothbrush, job done. Or cotton buds or whatever you want. Anyway, so when I went into the Games Workshop shop, wow, that's a mouthful. I inquired about this month's Golden Goblin. And I also picked up my Makari as well. And he came third, which, yeah, I'm very happy at that, honestly. First ever painting sort of thing I've done since getting back into it after 12, 13-year hiatus. Not bad at all, honestly. I'm quite impressed with myself, but that does mean I have to step up my game in the future, which is what I'm talking about now. So, hobby homework for this week revolves around this, and it's about being creative. And this month's Golden Goblin is kit bashing. So, with what's happened to the war boss, I decided to make my own. So, I've had a look round and I've had a look at some images and whatnot of concepts of other people's bikes and what they've been building and this, that, and the other. And I come out with an idea, and that took probably about 3 weeks to get the idea together properly and get the model sort of situated before filling in like extra bits and bobs. And the character, he even has a name. I'm calling him Crumple Stilt Shins because he had a nasty accident with his bike and he crashed into a killer can and he lost his legs to the saw of the killer can. And he flew into a fit of rage and tore the thing apart and decided to build himself some new legs and a new bike out of a killer can, which I think is a pretty cool sort of concept. But yeah, that's the whole thing. Being creative, doing something different. Now, for me, it was very, very difficult because, like I said, destroying that model has affected me mentally. So building something and trying to be creative and trying to put this idea into fruition and form and whatnot took a lot of work, a lot of mental stress to try and stay positive and look at something. That's why I ended up giving it a silly name, because I think he is going to be my HQ in my army. But painting him as well, about being creative and trying new things, I decided to go full contrast paints with it. And I really, really, really wanted to redeem myself with what I did with those Defcopters dry brushing. That terrible, terrible work. I was using a giant fluffy makeup brush, and I've never used anything like that and that soft, and I underestimated how much it would cover. So in the future, if I was going to use something like that, I would definitely use a lighter dusting opposed to my heavy-handed dry brushing technique, which is what I'm used to doing as a kid. But anyway, I got him all painted up, and I started off by spraying in black, and I didn't want to use my airbrush at all for this model. I wanted to, like I say, go back to sort of basic, like this is the sort of thing you can achieve when you're a beginner painter. It's very simple to do, so I figured I'd use black rattle can, and I got him sprayed up. So I did sub-assemblies, as I always like to do, regardless of what the quality will be on the outcome. I like the fact that I can get all the edges and this, that, and the other and move around each piece easier than when I just stick it all together and I find it hard to get the paintbrush in. And plus with my twitchy hands, when I after I've done a stroke and I retract the brush, I'm more likely to skim it on another part. So I like to keep them in pieces. That's just me. You don't have to, but that's just me. So started off with black, and then I dry brushed the whole model in Mechanicus Standard Grey in order to get some depth of shadow in there. And then for the mid-tones, I started working up with different bone colours. I started with, which one was it? Ushabti bone, and then I moved up to a layer of Screaming Skull. And then for the final edges, I used a white, and then to highlight the topmost parts, I used a white as well. I then used a further white dry, even drier than a dry brush dry, and did all of the edges of the model, which honestly, pretty easy to do. Took maybe 10-15 minutes minus drying time, obviously, because I like to leave them, make sure they're fully dry before I touch them again. So with all that done, it was just a simple case of deciding which bit I wanted which colour. So I figured I would start with the metals first. So I did a bit of the metals and then put some contrast on it. Some, which one is it? Let's have a look at my paint rack. Which one? Yeah, Bad Moon's Yellow and Imperial Fist is what I used. And yeah, then I had to go back and redo metals. But yeah, it's one of those. It's my somewhat attempt of trying to do, what is it, Slap Chop Plus. Yeah, it's my version of Slap Chop Plus, but I haven't done the plus yet. And I haven't slap chopped it very well either, because like I say, dry brushing, haven't really done it since I was a preteen. Honestly, I think that might be the last time I actually did it, because there wasn't really all the advanced techniques back then. So for me to achieve something of a better caliber, I'm probably going to have to invest in some of those artist opus brushes that everybody seems to be using and ranting and raving about. I'll have to see what the fuss is with that. But anyway, the fact is that I was creative, I bounced back from a mistake, and now I've made something that can sit on my desk, and if I want to pick up a paintbrush and just have some fun and paint something that isn't necessarily part of my YouTube work or part of my army as a whole, you know, like the painting a million different things that I've got to do, then yeah, it's just nice to have it. It's something I can give a little tickle to and improve along the way. So I've got a good baseline down. I think the model itself is pretty sound. I would love to get a hold of some sort of cabling or something that I can put from the back of him into the thruster and this, that, and the other, because there is a big void space there, and I didn't find anything that I liked that would sit there properly, because I liked having the hatch of the killer can over the thruster. I thought that looked really cool, but again, I need to get something. And I was thinking of maybe trying to get hold of some guitar strings, because they're pretty cool. They look like sort of ribbed cabling, which might be a good idea. If not, then I'll have to have a look at maybe some gardening wire or something along the lines of that, or even bend some paper clips. But I thought they would be a little bit too sturdy, you know, to like manipulate properly. So I didn't do that either. But these are all things that can happen in the future, because I've got a nice pair of tweezers. I've got a load of super glue. I can just stick it in and then just straight up paint it, because it's not really in an area where it's going to get handled. So I don't really need to worry about the primer aspect of it, which is great. But yeah, that's the model. And he is now in the shop in town again, and he's going for the Golden Goblin, which is pretty cool. But yeah, this video has taken me a very long time to do, and the actual footage and outcome of it is pretty minimal. I'm not really getting an investment back for my time with this one, but I suppose it's future-proofing myself and understanding the fact that I'm going to make mistakes, and mistakes happen, and this, that, and the other, and it's all about learning, and there is no ceiling, and there's no such thing as a perfect miniature, ever. You can be happy with it, you can be unhappy with it, you can't be, that's perfect. It doesn't work like that. You'll always come back to it at some point and look at it from a different angle and think, maybe if I did that bit differently. And then you go ahead and try it. And that's how it works. And that's the beauty of it. And what I'm failing to do with my miniatures and with my progression is I'm setting my sights far too high. I'm looking at all these professionals on YouTube that have been doing it for years and years and years. They've got a fancy camera, not a blurry, horrible thing like me. And they've got all the brushes, all the equipment, all the sponsors, this, that, and the other. And I'm trying to match it without the skill to back it up just yet. So I need to be realistic. So from now on, like I say, we're going to have hobby homework. We're starting from new beginners, and we're working forward from there. So all my previous knowledge, I'm throwing out the window, and we're starting from scratch. Yeah. And speaking of scratch, the next month's Golden Goblin has been announced of what topic it's going to be. And it is a duel. So I was speaking to the manager in there, and he told me that it does not have to be a traditional duel. So I instantly got an idea, which I'm going to work on, and hopefully this will be the topic of next video. And yeah, you'll have to tune back in next video to see what I'm actually doing. Yeah, it should be interesting. It involves Gretchen. So yeah, because I went in and picked up a box of the Gretchen with the runt herd conveniently, and yeah, I'm going to use those. And hopefully after I've made this little diorama, I'll be able to take the models out and actually use them again, because yeah, I can't really be making dioramas just yet when I've got an army to try and build. You know what I mean? It's like cutting up brand new models. It's oof, it hurts. It really does hurt. That's definitely an unusual feeling. Like making the bike, I started off with a Wartrike, that's the basis of it all. And cutting him up and putting a lighter to him and bending his arm and watching it melt as well. It turned black and then you have to fill it with sprue goo and putting holes in it and snapping it and finally get it to shape. And it's strange when you've just bought a brand new model and you do that to it. It is an unusual feeling, but it is what it is. You have to do what you have to do. So yeah, that brings me on to the final thought, which is the hobby homework. So from now on, guys, till the next video, I'd like you to just be creative. It doesn't matter in what particular sense. It doesn't matter if it's painting, building, doing some scenery, drawing. Just get those ideas flowing in your head and do something creative. Whether it's artistic, musical, performance, anything. Just get that mindset of creativity and imagination and exploration, and it'll help you apply it to your models in the future if you've got a good, solid, creative frame of mind. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be me for this video. I do hope you have enjoyed it. Again, I'm sorry, there's not really a lot I can do when I'm trying to build a model footage-wise. It's just me like sticking parts together and going, does that work? No. What about if I flip it? No. What about if I chop it? No. And rinse and repeat for 3 weeks. But anyway, take care of yourselves. I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.